Let us pray. Father, we just thank you tonight, Lord. We thank you for allowing us to come here and meet, Lord, to make decisions on behalf of our county. Lord, we thank you for everyone that showed up. We pray blessings and peace over our county, Lord, and health. And we just thank you for all that you do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Please face the colors. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Section 2 of the agenda, or we actually call the regular session open. Jumped all the way back behind you, so we'll do that. Section 2 of the agenda is adjustment of the agenda. Does anyone have anything at this point? One of the things that we're going to do is move Sabbath House under the action items to be discussed, and it will become item C. And at that point, we will hear from the Sabbath House owners here. Anyone have any concerns or objections to that? Okay, by acclamation, we will take care of that. Item number 3 is administrative reports. And do we have the budget amendment tonight, Cindy, or not?
No budget amendment.
Okay, so there will be no budget amendment. That item will not be discussed tonight. Okay. Peggy, you're on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is from the month of May 2022. Total receivable, $6,759,405.49. Tax lien cost and interest, $7,247.87. Penalties, $48.44. Prepayments, $21,344.84. 2021 ad valorem tax, $50,170.31. Ad valorem tax collected year to date, $6,423,437.45. Everything collected, the prior years are all total for you there. Waste fee collected this month, $22,094.92. Waste fees collected year to date, $1,101,279.50. Your monthly totals are $108,107.09. Total collected year to date, $7,864,480.21. NCVTS, $34,781.93 for the month, $393,71.72 for the year.
Any questions for Peggy? As I hear no questions, I will ask that the report be accepted as given.
Make a motion to approve the report.
Got a motion on the floor and a second on the floor that the report be accepted as given. Any other questions? Any other concerns? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay. Unanimous? All those present? Okay. Thank you, Peggy. Next on the agenda is the public comments. Rachel, do you guys want to wait until we get down the agenda to, or do you want to speak now?
If you can speak now, that's fine.
Okay, you guys are on the list of speakers for tonight. Yes, sir.
Excuse my ignorance, will the North Carolina opioid settlement be discussed tonight?
It is not on the agenda, so I would assume not.
Okay, I didn't know if it fell over any from business or anything. Just had a note, somebody else may be here at home, so I'll be excusing myself.
Okay,
Y'all have a good night.
thank you very much. Why don't you guys come up and say your piece, and we won't, come up and say your piece.
Now, Peggy told us this afternoon when we met with her that we'd have 3 minutes, and I said, that's gonna be awful hard for a preacher. So we'll do our best.
Well, I understand that, yes.
Okay. 30 years ago, a group of pastors started meeting up on Alarka at a house up there that some church members owned. 10 years after we had met once a year for 10 years for a week, we realized that meeting was so important to us as clergy every year that we should make this available to other people to experience. And so, long story short, we bought 16 acres of land, started building a lodge up there. Kevin was an inspector during that time, and it took us 6 years to build it with all kinds of help. And we've been operating the Sabbath House with one sole mission for now 20 years almost. And that mission has been to provide a place where people could come and experience Sabbath rest according to our faith. So that's a thumbnail sketch. I will say that we were stunned to get the letter about owing taxes, back taxes for property taxes for 5 years. So we met with Peggy this afternoon, and we had a good meeting with her. It was not contentious in any way, quite informative actually. And so I'll let Rachel talk about that a little bit.
So when we opened the lodge in 2008, we applied for tax exempt status in Swain County. We had a 501c3 federal nonprofit. We applied and were approved to be a tax exempt organization in Swain County. So as Jim mentioned, we got a letter in April from Peggy Hyde saying that we no longer qualified as being a tax exempt organization. In our initial application, we said we were going to rent the lodge to groups, primarily church groups, to be a place to experience Sabbath. Over that time, we've expanded to other groups. So we didn't know what we were doing was not under that tax exempt status anymore, but after we met with Peggy today, we understand that, and that makes sense. But we have been asked to pay the past 5 years in taxes, which is over $16,000, which is over 20% of our annual budget, and that's a lot for a small nonprofit. So what we're requesting of you is consideration to start from here on out, paying those property taxes annually, but to forgive the 5-year requirement, because that will be a hardship for us. So that's probably more than 3 minutes, but that's what we gave you some information I think that you probably have had a couple of weeks ago, but after meeting with Peggy, we understand kind of where we are right now. But that's our request to you. If you have any questions, we're open to trying to answer them.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I don't, I think you answered the questions in yours
Okay.
as you were speaking,
Yeah.
because we are aware that you had some rooms you're renting for profit, so.
Yeah. I mean, we're still very much nonprofit, but I understand the kind of
Yeah.
difference of not just primarily church groups, so.
Right.
And I think that that would be the only understanding that we would need to deal with is were you renting rooms to other people rather than church groups or anybody else? The way you were advertising it suggested you were. So the question for me is, are you or are you not renting to anyone, or are you still working with church groups?
We're doing both, but it's open to anyone. We think that practice of Sabbath is important for everyone, even though we started with a target audience of clergy and church groups, that has expanded.
How long have you been doing that? How long have you been doing the for-profit room rentals?
Well, I don't know that I would use the word for-profit, I guess. I mean, I understand what you're saying with that, but we've just advertised it on VRBO, and we get a variety of people that come that way. So I'd say we've probably been doing that for 7 years or so.
You understand my dilemma in that no other motel, hotel, any kind of resort had the same benefits at that particular time of not being, they were not tax exempt.
We just didn't realize that expanding to other groups was going to take us out of the tax exempt status. So, you know, that could be ignorance on our part, but we weren't aware that expanding it to other groups was going to be an issue.
Also that we were still operating in good faith under the original application that we made for exemption from property taxes. We never thought we were not acting in good faith with that.
But Jim, I think,
Apparently we were.
yeah, I think you can see that if someone else gets a hold of this information and comes and says, we exempted you guys for taxes, and so they want to be exempted for the last 5 years, what kind of a mess we would wind up having on our hands.
We asked Peggy this afternoon, have you ever had this happen or this kind of situation? She said, no, this is a first.
This is a first,
Yeah.
yes.
We like to be special.
We're just kind of throwing ourselves on the mercy of the
Yeah,
court.
I mean, we certainly want you to know we're not trying to rob Swain County of
No.
rightful taxes. It's just that we were unaware that what we were doing would get rid of the tax exemption, and that 5 years for us is a significant financial hardship.
Also, a portion of what we still do.
I mean, we do still have church groups.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not all.
Oh, no.
And that
we're
was
not
something
at
we
all.
talked to Peggy about, is there any kind of prorating for church groups versus non-church groups kind of thing? And she said that was something she'd have to look into.
Any other questions? I was hoping that we could get this resolved tonight, but it sounds to me like there's some information we need before we can make a final decision. Number one, this is new, a whole new situation. I do not know of another group that mixes the two. There may be, I don't know. So you are asking for the full 5 years to be forgiven.
Yes.
Do we want to move this until we get additional information? You ready to vote on this? Have you made up your minds? What's the deal, guys?
Do we need to leave and let you talk?
No. it's
No,
all
I
open.
don't think so.
Let's give it a little time to marinate in the pot a little.
Okay. So you want to move this to the work session?
We can vote on the work session if that would be okay with you.
That's fine. I think when we run into this kind of situation and move it so that we can gather more information, I don't have a problem with that.
I don't have a problem with voting on it in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Ken?
I won't be at the next meeting.
Oh,
but
that's
I
right.
need more
You're not even gonna be
information.
here.
than-
Why are we even talking to you? How about you?
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm good with
Then I will tell you that what we will do is we will ask Peggy to get us some more information. And if she can find it, if she can't find it, you know, we'll just have to make a decision. But in 2 weeks, we'll vote on this up or down, and it'll be over with.
Well, you hear us, we're asking for any help you can give us.
Okay, appreciate it much. Appreciate you guys coming in
Thank you
too.
for your consideration.
Thank you. Our next item are the minutes from the May 12th budget public hearing, the regular session, the May 16th joint meeting with the Board of Education, and May 26th work session.
I make a motion, we accept all the minutes together.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve all of the meetings in one session rather than breaking them up.
it. A second.
Okay, and we have a second on the floor to do the same. All of those in favor of approving the minutes, you've had them, so we're not jumping. Please raise your right hand. Unanimous with those present. Okay. The Juvenile Crime Prevention Council.
So the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, every year, our group meets and we have 3 programs that always come before and ask for money for their funding for their group or whatever. And that's Pace Setters and Hawthorne Heights, Western North Carolina, and then Heights, which is a restorative justice option. And the county match this year is going to be $7,731. And Mr. King has said that that is in the budget. This is something that we do every year, and so our council gets together and we do monitoring at the actual places, and then the group they come back to the group and say, yes, they qualify. We would approve them for consideration for funding or whatever, and then our council puts these figures together and prepares the list for you all, and the county always pitches in the 10% match. So.
Okay. So as far as the budget is concerned, what are we approving tonight?
The $7,731. And that the other money that's for the programs, it'll channel through the county. And so it's just kind of approval for that too.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, you've heard the request for the juvenile prevention. I don't know if I could even say it or not.
JCPC.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman, if you want me to.
Sure.
Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, the county plan, our share, 10%, I think, comes to $7,731. Make the motion that we give that money to them.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to fund the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council county plan.
A second.
Okay, and we have a second on the floor. So we have a motion and a second on the floor to help the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. Any questions? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, passed unanimous, those present. I think we've dealt with the Sabbath House situation.
She said, how do
Can you come to the mic, please? More for the people outside if they're listening
At
than
that
for
time,
us.
I told them that they were actually in competition with everybody that was renting on Airbnb or RBO. And that was kind of ended our discussion.
Okay, okay.
Just something I thought you needed to know.
Any questions for Peggy? Okay. Thank you, Peggy. Appreciate it. Okay, I guess you're the county manager tonight, eh?
Well, close.
Okay, go ahead.
The pool is open. He wanted me to share that good news. And I know that they posted on Facebook their hours and what days day camp's gonna be there and what the fees are and so forth.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
because I have a question about that, and I know Cindy might not be able to answer it, but I've had complaints already about the schedule for Fridays. That, is it open to the public from just 11 to 2?
So,
And-
because we asked that question today, because we asked for clarification, because we had some people call also. Let me look it up just for a second.
I've had people
On
asking.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or whatever days day camp's coming, let me look just a second. Kevin,
Yeah, I'm on
are you the
here.
one that posted it on there?
Yeah.
I was asked if it was not going to be open to the public, if it,
And the
All
problem
the
is,
time.
the problem is
They got
the
s-
amount of lifeguards. They
They
don't
got
have enough
60 day campers
lifeguards.
that's gonna be there on those 3 days. So I don't know if they got enough lifeguards.
That's what
Don't
it
know.
boils down to, because in the beginning, we asked the question, and I thought it was because of capacity, but actually capacity would be more than 60. But it's a matter of, they have 6 lifeguards, and to keep the pool open, the full amount on all those days, including when day camp is there, they would need at least 10. So I've been told that it's because of the lack of staff, is how they explained it today.
I will find out about that if you want me to.
please, because we've not always had to have 10 lifeguards, I don't believe. And I've
Well, it's just for
also,
the rotation
It,
all
it,
week.
it occurs to me, and this is why I wish the real manager was here. He and I had a discussion about that, and he said, insurance-wise, you don't need any. Now, I don't know what that would mean under the circumstances.
I believe that's a if or. Either you have them or you don't have them. I don't think you can have them, then one day you don't have them, and the next day you do have them. That's my thought process. If you have them, I think you got to supply them the way they're supposed to be supplied. That's what I would think.
And the rec department is saying that they will have them for those.
They're there. I went up there today. I stayed about an hour up there today looking. But I will ask that question, because I've been talking to them about stuff like that as well. So.
it needs to be asked for sure, because I was asked if it was just going to be a pool for day camp, and I was asked by several people, was not too happy with it, and if they're paying, if we're going to have it, we need it open to the public. That's the whole, I mean, that's the use of the TDA money and everything, it has to be. That's a have-to thing, I'm pretty positive, because we used TDA funds, didn't we?
Yes.
So we can't just pick and choose. I mean, we're either gonna have to do it or not. And I don't know the circumstances, all of them. I know there's some people, I thought we've asked several times if we had enough lifeguards, and I thought we were told yes. So I don't know what I'm missing, but I know I hear the complaint parts. So that was my question.
Well, that's a good question, and Kevin, you'll be working with whom to get those answers?
I'll go to Jim. Ask.
Okay.
We'll send out an email when you
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah, share with us whatever you do find out,
Yeah.
and, you know, just let us know. Okay, go ahead.
The special session is June 23rd, right before the work session at 6. We'll do the final budget amendment to close out the year, and we'll consider appointments to various boards and commissions. We received a planning grant through Dogwood Trust to go through the planning process to determine how to spend the opioid settlement money most effectively. I don't have any details on that, but he just wanted me to announce that we did receive a planning grant, and that's all.
Okay. Again, how much was the planning grant? Do you know how much it was?
I do not.
Okay. Any other questions for Cindy? Hearing none, thank you. And we'll start with the commissioner's report. Roger, if you would, please.
I don't really have much, Mr. Chairman. We all were attended a couple extra meetings in this past week, and then I did a visit to the pool as well Tuesday. Kind of went down there. I saw Perry, talked with him a little bit. In fact, one of the inspectors was there, just so happened to be there when I was there. And so I didn't just linger right on top of him while he was talking to Perry. I kind of walked around and looked at the facility, but it's certainly looking good and taking shape. And I think they were still lacked a few parts when I was up there for a couple different issues, but hopefully that's getting taken care of. So that's about all I had, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Tuesday, was that the TDA photo op?
I didn't ever see that. I don't know if it was there or not. I didn't take part in it. I don't know.
Nobody came, I don't think.
Nobody came to take the picture?
I was not here, but I did ask about that if they were.
Showed up?
Huh? I didn't show
Nobody
up. I was in Silva. I was in the doctor's office. But they said, I think they said, because I asked if any of you guys, said, I don't think I seen them. I said, well, nobody came, I guess.
Well, I was in Silva, the doctor's office, and they said 1:30 first time. I thought I could get that done and get up to Silva by my appointment time of 2:30. Then they said they switched it to 2:30 because Jim couldn't make it. Jim Brown couldn't be there. So that was my understanding of how it went. So I was just wondering.
I was up there, Mr. Chair, around 1 o'clock-ish, so I saw, actually, like I said, spoke to Perry, and then I actually went up to the middle school ball field and spoke to Jim too. He was up there lining off the field, I think, for flag football or something, him and a couple more. And so I went up there and spoke to him up there as well. So I don't know anything about the picture when it was, I didn't have my picture made, I'll just put it that way. I don't know when it was.
Well, I got a text from Jeremiah telling me about the photo op.
Okay.
So I didn't make it, so it doesn't matter, I guess. Okay, you got anything for us?
Not really a report. I don't guess. Well, the one thing, which Roger went, somebody informed me that the park was doing a survey, and somebody had informed Roger, and Roger went. I didn't make it, but I did go back the next day because I thought they were going to be back a day or two, and they were not. So I want us to keep, that's one thing I wanted to ask Kevin about, was if the parking fee was already in, or if they were going to do any more research. I did talk to him about this, and he said that this is just an annual, I believe he said annual or so many year thing that they do, like a census, just to ask a few questions. And I don't want them using that against us, because they did it on a rainy day, and it was in the middle of the day, and it wasn't on the weekend or nothing. I want them to know that there's lots of local people use the park all the time. I actually went up there later on that night and was up that way, but I had that, and I had some individuals, I don't know if you just wanna wait till new business to talk about it, I don't think I don't know, it's something we need to discuss. I had a couple of people ask me about the lake cleanup. I told them they're asking the wrong guy, it's a TVA lake to me, and they can help us do, but if they wanted to clean up, and we had ways to help them, they're not necessarily paying for it, but they mentioned that we had buoys or something that maybe some of them could drag and clean some of the debris out of the lake. I don't know, but it's something that,
Did David Montes do that at one time?
Fontana Lake users.
Fontaine Lake users, that's what it was. We had a boat at one time, right?
is
we
there
don't
still
know.
a group?
I don't know.
I think it was his boat. I don't know that.
I think it may have been the user's boat, but somehow it got donated or somebody bought it, come from a grant or something like that.
Well, I told them that I thought if we had the stuff for them to do it, then maybe they could use it, because I was told they had time and they would volunteer
I talked to them as well.
to help do it. And I said, well, I said, that makes things a little different. As far as funds,
Swain clean.
TVA has more funds available than we do to pay to clean up the lake. And then one of them asked me about TDA funds too. I don't know how all that stuff, if they go to them and ask, I mean, that's
Well, I mean, that's their prerogative to do that. They can do that. if
Does
they
Swain
choose.
clean? Did they do things like that as well?
I don't know. But I told one guy too that the park and everybody had to be, I felt needed to be involved also. I didn't know that. we
They done a
had-
big cleanup down there one year. Do you remember that when they done it? Maybe a couple of years in a row. And it took out a lot.
Depends on when we had lots of rain at one time.
Yeah.
It's happened before, I know, but there's also been piles of trash stay in the lake for a long time. At times also, I know, I don't know that it's something that we have to do. But if the community's wanting to do it, and we have the tools to help them laying somewhere, and I don't know, maybe that's something that needs to be checked into.
I got a number from a lady at TVA, which are hard to get, so I might have sent him that number and let him talk to them. See what they say.
Well, I think that, yes, and I think you mentioned Monteith. He was the one going after the park to get some of those logs and trees out of the river and out of the lake. So how he went about that, I don't know, to be quite honest with you.
That was David's mission.
I'm sorry?
He was about cleaning that lake up, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was.
Yeah.
Okay, back up just a second. I talked to Dana Schoen about
The park.
the park. And that is some of the stuff that she sent me that shows that the survey that was going on was the annual survey that they haven't done since 2008. So they're playing catch up right now is what they're doing. And that's what's going on. And I told her it was very interesting to me that with this whole parking issue, all of a sudden we're getting all this attention. But that was mine. You can read that if you want. And
Well, I don't really need to. I just want to be sure they don't use this survey against us and saying, well, there was one local person up there, Roger, that filled it out. And
well, it's a good thing that the local person was the commissioner.
I went by there,
did you?
but they was talking like 10 people, so it's just 2 young girls that I saw, so.
I just don't
Yeah,
want to.
they're from one nearby college, I think in Knoxville or somewhere. I'd have to go back and look at the material that I was just handing you.
Maybe so. I just want people to realize that there's stuff like this goes on all the time, and there's people gets left out that don't have a chance. And I think sometimes the way they go about it is, if they wanted lots of input, they would have been there on the weekend.
Well, and one of the things that she does say is that they don't want people to know when they're coming. So we don't get a bunch of people there on that particular day to fill out the surveys.
And that's fine too, but just most people's up there on the weekend.
Right.
And during the week and stuff, lots of your local people, I mean, they have to work, they're not there I don't go to the park till late in the evening, lots of times during the week. And I don't know, I just don't want them using it against us, which I know I can't control that neither, but.
And I did state that fact to Dana.
And I appreciate that, and thanks for getting the information.
So, anyway, okay. Is that it for you? Is
That's
that
it for
yours? Okay. Kevin?
I ended up going to 2 school events. I went to the athletic banquet one night. It was pretty impressive. One thing that impressed me, and I don't know the numbers, I might not get this right, but out of our small 1A school, we had like 60 kids competed in multiple sports. And that's pretty much a lot more than most big schools downstate. And I thought it was pretty impressive. Then I went to the academic academic banquet as well, and really impressed with that too. We got kids. I didn't know you could have a 4.5 GPA, but you can. So we got kids that got 4.5 GPAs.
Well, I couldn't, but
No,
somebody
me neither.
did,
I was
so-
like, I can't even mad that much, but then I attended the TDA public comment here
Okay.
for the Four Corners. It went really good, actually. It wasn't really contentious. It was pretty much people giving their opinions and trying to help. I think it was a really good actual meeting. It wasn't just chaotic or anything. So
Right.
it was,
Right. Now, were the consultants there?
yes,
Okay.
they done the exact same presentation that they done with us the night that they came here, that night. And then they've not changed the presentation. So
So,
I thought they might have, but they didn't.
so even after all of the negative input, they still went.
They
with
still
what-
got the same presentation.
Hmm.
So I don't know when that switches gears or if it's how it switches gears or what, but there was a lot of good input. A lot of good people had a lot of good concerns, and it was very heartfelt. The room was packed. It was full of people. So
Well, we may need that feedback because before the grant goes any farther, it's got to come through us. So,
Mr. Chair,
Keep
I
that
have
in
a
mind. Yes,
question. At that presentation, did you stay for a period of time? Because I went to I think the first one.
I stayed to the end.
You stayed to the end. And I didn't stay too long, but.
I wasn't going to, but I did.
At the one I went to, it was most everybody but the TDA man was against it. What was your take on that?
The TDA, they are pretty much, I think all the TDA members were here. I think they were, pretty much everybody in the room was against kind of what they're doing. But it was more, I think like it was better this time than what I've heard feedback, because listen, you can be against anything. Tell me how to fix it, that's what I want to know. And they were giving some good answers on like replacing this with this and maybe putting some different stuff in, and I thought that was really good because before I just heard everybody just didn't like it. Well, that sounds really good in theory, but let's figure out how to make it work. So it was really good. And the TDA members, I think some of them kind of don't like it. So I think I don't know how it's going to change, but it needs to change before it comes to us, because it don't need to come to us like it is.
right. Well, if it's the same in the same presentation. it doesn't-
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They need to change it, figure it out, mixed up, and then bring it to us, and then we can tweak it from there. But, yeah, I mean, most everybody that came was against it. There was a lot of people that was like, yeah, we need to do something. Which is, I agree. Things need to be fixed. But it was a good group of people that were here that night. So, yeah, like I said, there was a lot of people here.
Good.
Could I ask a question as well? Kevin, was anybody there representing the veterans? When it was presented to us, when it seems like the corner that's giving everybody the most trouble is that corner. They don't like the marble benches. That's the thing I hear as much as anything. Was anybody there? Because, when they presented to us, we had somebody representing the veterans that was telling us that they were
Right.
consulted with it, they liked it. They like the flagpole being moved out closer to the road. And so it's kind of like we sort of received a positive information from Mr. Cochran representing the veterans. And I don't know that anybody else is getting that positive feedback from the
I think the
veterans
biggest
groups.
problem on that corner is those concrete
Yeah.
seats.
That's what I've heard people most.
I don't think anybody has a
Or
problem.
marble or granite or whatever.
Well, yeah, I don't think he has a problem with, the memorial, the statue and kind of the way it is. I didn't hear anybody that really did, and then the flagpole being moved out front. And I did also hear this, that they was talking about lighting for the flagpole, and then afterwards, somebody asked me about lighting for the flagpole that's already there. So I guess we have a light on that flagpole that's not working. Gunner, do you know?
Negative, I've never out after.
Me neither, so,
Well, we've had that same issue with the one at the exit.
Right.
yeah.
So that same thing, because if they fly, they're supposed to be lit.
Yes, and so I wanted to bring that up as well.
I mean, fly
I
at night,
forgot to
guys
say
know what I
that,
meant
so.
by that, so.
But I don't think, there was a few veterans here that night, and then they spoke, and, they didn't really address kind of the veteran side of it, but they did address some of the issues, the granite seats and all this stuff, so. And I'm with them, I mean, it's I think it's a good initiative, I just gotta get it tweaked and, get it to where, not everybody's gonna like it, it's just kind of the way it is, it's like running a church, 50 people that have 50 different opinions, but if you could come to get one good focus and get that fixed, I think it'll work. So.
I had heard, and I asked Max about the condition of the memorial itself. And I had heard that it couldn't be moved, and I don't remember who told me I should jot these names down. Max thought it could be, but it was just moving it so the flag flew over the corner rather than changing the whole thing around, so. When I say Max and look at the sheriff, it's the sheriff's brother, so that's why I look at him when I say that.
Do we have who's the local VF rep, or do we have?
We don't.
We don't have that now, do we?
Negative.
I think Max is concerned, and I'm not speaking for him, but just telling you what he related to me, is that statue's been in the weather so long, and weather it's many years,
Right.
kind of brittle, fragile, and it's hard to move it, may fall apart, I don't know if it will or not.
And Sheriff, that's exactly what I heard, so it may have been Max that told me. I don't remember who told me that. But whoever the consultants are need to have that first and foremost in their mind before they start looking at that.
I don't think they're wanting to move it, that I saw.
Okay, okay.
No.
But if they don't move the statue, okay, all right. I'm
They want
trying to picture in my
to
mind
bring
where
that
the flag
flagpole out
is.
to the corner,
Okay,
which I think is a good idea. That flag should be, first thing you see when you walk up. So I did go to the pool also. I went up there today, stayed about an hour, and met all the lifeguards and kind of just talked to everybody that was up there. And the big pool is open. The splash pad and the small pool, the kiddie pool, are not open right now. There had a couple setbacks on it, a couple pumps went out, stuff like that. But they're in the process of getting that fixed. And I did talk to the health department as well, and they just gotta get it fixed and get the water tested in it, and they can open that up. So you probably will hear that splash pad and the kiddie pool is not open right now. So, but it will be.
and everybody wants to go up there, take their kiddies up there.
Yeah,
so.
they want to take the kiddies up.
Okay,
That's it.
is that it? Well, my report is gonna be very short. I'm like Kenneth, I don't have anything to report. Actually, some of the reports have already been given that I would have given tonight. So, and I don't know that people are here that can answer questions about the housing committee. So, we'll have to let that slide till our answer man gets back. Incidentally, he's picking up his daughter, who was doing a study in France, was it? So he's got a daughter that's foreign exchange, not foreign exchange, but foreign student in France. So she's coming back tonight. Okay. That will suffice as my report. New business. What do we have there besides the thing that you brought up? I want to bring that up again and just talk about it for a second.
The lake cleanup.
Who would know that? I mean, who would know the information about that?
Kevin would know some of it, about some of the,
About whether
what
we
we
have
have
equipment
down
or not?
there, or the manager of the, I heard that some of that stuff was at the recycling place. I don't know if that's true or not.
Some of it is, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I
But
don't
we,
know.
when we clean it up, we're responsible for where we put, it's not just cleaning it up, it's cleaning it up and hauling
Separating
it and, or putting it, I don't know where they put it, separate, there's lots of, I'm sure there's trash. I know there's trash in there, 'cause that's what happens. You get, your lake goes down, leaves stuff on the side, you get a big storm,
Yeah.
it cleans it off. But, the
Well, and that
trees
was-
and debris might not have to, I don't know where, I had a suggestion made to me, and if you did this, you have to wait until the lake comes down. And that is drag it all to a place, unless you have a way to keep it tied up till the lake goes down. And it was down on 288, in the mud hole down there, let it pile up and burn lots of the debris. I told him I didn't know if that's possible, or any of that stuff, or what you have to do. I mean, there's a whole lot more goes into, I mean, you hear people say we've had people take trash bags and stuff and clean the trash out before, and do the debris. I don't know what they did with the debris before, do you?
No, I do not.
But the trash they pulled out, they had lots of people, I think they had several people take individual boats.
They had a lake cleanup. I don't remember when it was, but I remember going down
It
there.
don't seem like it's been that long ago.
No,
Yeah.
One
it
of the
is.
last cleanups.
there's a bunch of people got together and kind of cleaned it up. They had like a trash barge or something down there at one time.
See, even the lake is not just us. You got Graham County is part of the lake also, so. But now I don't know how far the trash piles will go. It takes a while for it to get way down the lake, so the trash piles from the Tuckasegee and the Tennessee are probably on us. It's probably where most of the trash is.
Tuckasee's probably the worst.
Is that the word?
Bad, yeah.
Well, that coming out of the park, Deep Creek and the Tuckasegee, and the Oconee Lefty, for some reason, is not always as bad as everything around it. So I don't know. Would you mind asking Kevin when he gets in tomorrow, just to kind of shoot us some information about the lake cleanup and what we've done in the past as a county, and who headed it, just what kind of, whatever kind of information he can get to us.
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I could probably shed some light on that.
Okay, Sheriff, come on up and do that.
When David Matteith was commissioner, that was kind of his brainchild down there. He looked after that place pretty well, but he would have wildlife come in with a pontoon and oil booms, track hose, and pick up all that trash they could, offload it into a dump truck, and then the dump truck would take it to the landfill. The county provided the dump truck driver and a backhoe, I think, to help, or a track hoe to help load it into the truck after it was offloaded off the barges. That's quite a chore to get all that done, but you know, while the lake is up and the water's not moving, that's the time to do it, because you can corral all that stuff and pull it to a bank
Right.
and gather it up pretty easy.
I just got a message. Swain Clean, somebody must be watching this. Swain Clean has a date of June 18th. It's pretty hard to tell the date. Tuckasegee River Fontana Lake cleanup. July the 5th, there you go. 2022, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Meet at the old 288 boat launch. Bring your canoe, kayak, or boat.
Okay, wait, I've got June the 18th, what was that?
Oh, sorry, that was a different date on something else.
Oh, okay, so what date
July
are
the
we-
5th.
25th. Was it the 5th?
And with
July
that
5th.
cleanup that wildlife did, I don't know if the wildlife provided a tub grinder or if the county rented one. I don't know how that came about, but occasionally they'd bring in a tub grinder and they could just put all that stuff in that and grind it up into mulch.
Okay. Now, what was the date of the cleanup of the Tuckasegee? and-
July the 5th, 2022, 9 a.m. to 12.
Okay. Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate the information. Just tell Kevin that we've got all this information floating around and we need somebody to pull it in so we know what's going on. And who rented the grinder? Who, did we pay for it or where did that come from?
I'll find out.
Okay. Any other new business? I wonder if Kevin planted this, so all this discussion goes on without any real answers. Okay, any other new business? Hearing none, we'll move on down the agenda, and we have no closed session tonight. So that moves us to item number 10. And that's the adjournment, gentlemen. What's your pleasure? You want to sit here tonight or you want to go home?
I'll make a motion, we go home.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor to go home.
Second.
We have a second on the floor, motion and second on the floor to go home. Any comments, questions, anything? Let me ask, do you have anything you want to add? Okay.
I will say we are getting more, we've had a couple more nomination forms submitted
Oh,
for the
good,
boards and commissions.
good.
We
Good.
currently now have about 3 for TDA, and I'll make you a list within the next week so that you can see it and have enough time to look over it and see who all you have for what vacancies or whatever.
Okay,
Mr.
Very
Chair,
good.
I guess along those lines, we had a member retire off the Affordable Housing Committee, so we need to be looking at that. But I think you or somebody mentioned, did you mention we're going to be doing that next? We're going to be looking at
You-
applications next time.
Right, but let me ask, you knew that Julie Hunt resigned from the Board of Housing Committee?
I didn't know that.
Okay,
Okay.
she did, so now that's another one that we need to just
Okay.
kind of add. She wasn't ready to go home anyway, so.
Well, I guess my motion should be to adjourn. I'm not telling everybody to go home. So. And once we adjourn, that's up to you whether you go home or not.
You don't have to go home, but you can't
Just-
stay here.
yeah,
so.
right.
Okay, any other business? If not, the motion to adjourn is still on the floor with a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Carried unanimously with those present.